Hello my lovelies, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Sharon. I am, how old am I? 62. Yes, 62. Oh my God, couldn't even remember. I am 62 years old, but not for very much longer. I've got a December birthday coming up. That's what's confusing me, because the day that I'm making this video, it's one of my best friend's birthdays who's the same age as me. And that's what threw me, because her birthday was coming into my head. But she's 2 months older than me. So yeah, I'm 62. And for the last almost 3 years come January, I have lived in this rented house. I left the family home and moved into this property on my own, and really my YouTube channel is just documenting my new way of life, budgeting, sinking funds, food shopping, and some cooking. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, I would love to have you along for the journey. I hate that word, but sometimes you just have to say it. And usually at the beginning of a new month, I will do a video entitled My Month End Roundup for the previous month, where I go over my spending, what I've got in my spending diary, what I spent in the previous month, any additional income, maybe from Vinted or cashback websites, things like that, referrals. And I talk about all of that. If I'm over on the food shopping budget, which I usually always am, I talk about that. And this month I'm going to put my sinking fund video together with this one. So once I've gone through the bits and pieces I want to go through, I will add the sinking funds video to that. So if you're interested in that, then stick around until the end. So again, for those of you that are new here, I work on a zero-based budget. That is what I find works best for me. I think it's very simplified, and I like to keep things simple. I don't want any complicated budgets, and yeah, I really like to keep things as simple as possible. So the zero-based budgeting method is what works best for me. And with the zero-based budget, if you are new to that, I mean, of course you can Google it to find out more information, but it means basically that every penny that you have got coming into your household is given a job. So whether that's to pay for your rent and mortgage, or whether that is money to go in a sinking fund for a new pair of glasses, every single penny is accounted for. Now, up until a few months ago, my disposable income each month was £147. That's how much I used to have left after all of my bills were paid, and that's what I used to carve up and put into my sinking funds. Then we got a pay increase, and my monthly income went up by £40. So I now work with £187 per month to carve up into my sinking funds, which of course, like I said, I'll go through a bit later on. And also in my main current account, where my salary gets paid into and all of my bills come out of, I now have a little bit of a buffer in there. And that is purely because back at the end of May, my mobile phone contract came to an end, and I am now SIM only. So that brought my bill down quite a bit. So that is a little bit of money that isn't accounted for, but I still budget in the same way. But I know that I've got a little bit of a buffer there if I go over on the food shopping or something like that. So that's kind of like how it works for me. So free samples. There's a few bits I start with every single month. Freebies that I got this month, and this is just through Facebook, Instagram, any ads that I see for freebies, I always apply for them. Some months there's nothing, some months there's quite a few things, and especially if you can get perfume samples, I usually work out the mil and work out a price that the perfume sample is worth. But I've not had any perfume samples for a while. So this month I got a sample of the Savoury Cream to Foam Cleanser. So that was free sample number 1. Free sample number 2 was the La Roche-Posay, and this is a facial sunscreen. I believe it's a facial one. Factor 50, just a really little tube there. But yeah, always a great way of trying new products and keeping little small sample size things in travel bags, etc. And then a sample of my favourite hair oil, which is the Kerastase. So I've got a sample there of that. The only thing with these is they're so awkward to use. Once you peeled the back off, with something like this, you've pretty much got to use the whole amount in one go on your hair. But even still, that's a little backup for the hair drawer. So that was the free samples. Vinted sales this month. Vinted, I do think, has been quite slow for me, but I have made £31.06. Rather a strange amount, isn't it? I don't know how come it's £31.06, because in August I made £45. I drew that out and spent it, and the balance in Vinted for September is £31.06. So there you have it. Top cashback, which I use for any online purchases. I used to use it also for buying gift cards for the supermarket. I've not done that for a little while. So my top cashback in the month of September increased by just £1.60. I had one Monzo referral, which will be from one of you lovely subscribers or viewers. Somebody's obviously clicked the link in the description box, signed up for Monzo, and has fulfilled the terms and conditions criteria, which would have earned them £10 for signing up and me £10 for the referral. So thank you to Shani for doing that. It is greatly appreciated. It's free money. If you've not got a Monzo account, the link is in the description below. Once you've got your £10, you can just withdraw it. You don't have to use Monzo ever again. But who would turn down a free tenner? Not me, that's for sure. Amazon shopper panel hasn't been great. I've only earned 95p this month, and I think that was 2 surveys throughout the month of September. Unfortunately, it no longer works like it used to, where you could upload receipts and earn £5 a month for the receipt uploads. That's all stopped. Now you're lucky if you get a couple of surveys a month. So 95p in September for the Amazon shopper panel. And Boots Advantage card has only gone up by a very small amount because I haven't done any scan to recycle drops at all. It's gone up by £2.24. But one of the October birthday presents that I needed to buy, I bought at the very end of September. So that's why it's £2.24. So that is that. Food shopping. Okay, total £136.43. It's almost not quite as bad as I expected, and I have added on to that 2 purchases from Amazon for coffee pods, because rather than buy them in the supermarket, I usually only buy whichever brand is on offer. But my son a couple of months ago gave me a box of Amazon coffee pods, and they were absolutely fine, and they are really good value for money. It's less than £4 for 20 pods, so it's a really good price. And I bought 2 lots of those because sometimes if I'm flagging in the afternoon, on my afternoon tea break, I think, do you know what, rather than have a cup of tea, I'm going to have another coffee. I need it to get me through till 5 p.m. So on the odd day, I do have 2 coffees a day. So 2 lots of coffee pods were purchased, and I have included those. On one of them, I paid the full price of £3.72, and on the other one, I paid £1.50 because I had the Amazon shopper panel rewards already sitting on my Amazon account. So I've added those 2 costs of coffee pods to any Sainsbury's and Aldi food shopping that I did in the month of September, 136.43. So yeah, not too bad. I'd be panicking if it was any higher than that. I think if it had hit 140, I'd have a bit of a panic attack. And until I sat and worked it all out and looked at it all, I was having a bit of a panic attack. But once I'd sat down and added it all up, I thought, whew, that's better than I thought. I spent £45 on an M&S shop. That was £45 that I'd made on Vinted in the month of August. I wanted a new white t-shirt. And then when I went online, they had a sale on, which I didn't know was on. And I got a pair of, they were described as black joggers, but they're not black joggers. They are almost like flared leggings. They're not super flared, but they're not as tight to your ankle as normal leggings would be. And they were £7 something. And I just thought, well, they're a really good basic to have. I don't have a lot of winter clothes. I hate winter clothes. I'm only into summer dresses, and when I'm indoors working from home, I'm just in old t-shirts, leggings, cardigans, jogging bottoms, that kind of thing throughout winter. So yeah, I thought they would come in handy. So I picked those up. And then also when I was looking through the sale, I saw these shoes. And the reason that I ordered them is because I'm really hard up for shoes at this time of year. I really would like a pair of loafers as well. I think for autumn and spring footwear, there's a massive gap in my wardrobe that I need to fill. Because you may not, you know, I don't really want my Ugg boots right now. It's not quite cold enough for that. But I picked up these shoes. Now, these weren't the ones that came from M&S, because the ones on the M&S website were a size up to my usual size. And I thought, oh, well, sometimes shoes come up small. I'll order them and see what they're like. So I ordered them. When they came, they were like absolute boats on me. I couldn't even walk in them. They were that big. So I thought, okay, they've got to be returned. I'll have a little look on Vinted. So I went on to Vinted, searched by my size, and lo and behold, there were 2 pairs in a size 6. One was completely brand new, and one said it had been worn once. They were both up for £20. Now, in the sale, they were £22.50, the ones that I'd ordered. So they were originally £45, as you can see on the label there. So it was just flat pumps that I thought would be perfect for now. Anyway, the upshot of those is that they are my size. I am a true size 6, and they are really tight, and I know they're going to hurt me. And because they're not leather, they're plastic. I mean, 45 quid for plastic shoes. I mean, come on, M&S. Flipping heck, what is going on in the world? I just, yeah, I can't get over the prices of anything, to be honest with you. So I bought those from Vinted, and they are really, really tight on me. So I'm probably going to have to put them up for sale. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know whether to persevere with them. But you know what it's like. They start rubbing at the back. And that's where they feel like they're really tight. But we'll see. Yeah, not sure about those yet. But as I say, they're going to have absolutely no give in them whatsoever. So that is not good. Sorry, I had to stop that there because I felt like a coughing fit was coming on. And nobody needs to witness that. So yeah, £45 spent at M&S, which I guess I will cover more when I go through my spending diary. And then additional money that I had coming in, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more you'll see on the sinking fund video, but basically that's to do with the concert ticket, and that's explained a little bit more in the sinking fund portion of this video. And then my YouTube income, so you get paid at the end of September for the previous month, so this is August earnings, and my YouTube income for August was £113.10. So thank you guys so much for watching the ads on my videos for, I think it's 30 seconds or longer for the YouTuber or creator to get paid on the adverts. So thank you so much for those of you that do that for me. It is greatly appreciated. And with that £113.10, we put 20% away for tax, and we have a 15% donation. Now, if you saw my video from, not Friday just gone, but the Friday before, the story time video, then you will know where that donation went. And thank you so much for all of your comments on that video. There were 71 comments. Honestly, I was absolutely blown away because I didn't know how it was going to go down when I usually make my donations for, you know, like a food bank shop or whatever. But yeah, you guys seem to think it was a lovely story, and thank you so much for your comments. They are so appreciated. They really, really are. And basically our donation, because it was in euros, I think I had £17 that should have been the donation, something like that. And where it's in euros, and I think I'd clicked 20 euros, and then there was like a 58p or 58 euro kind of like charge on top of that to the Animals of Mykonos charity. It was £18.51, and that was sort of slightly over budget. So Andrea, thank you Andrea so much, honestly. It was just the loveliest thing to do and really, really meant a lot to me. Andrea used the super thanks button that we have available if you're monetized, and sent over £1.99. So that was so lovely to cover that additional bit that it had cost me over what had worked out to be the 15%. So that was so lovely of you, Andrea. I really do appreciate it. On that vein, I have been thinking, and I need to pull my finger out and do it actually, because Ali over at Frugal Granny mentioned something like the percentage that YouTube takes when people do a super thanks is huge. I'm sure she said 70%. I should have written it down, but it's a massive, massive amount. And I really don't want people that ever want to use the super thanks button to be paying that amount of money to YouTube. So I think I might do the buy me a coffee, which I've never done before, but I think they only take a much smaller percentage, something like 20%. So I might look into setting that up, and if I do, that will be in the description box below, and of course at some point I will talk about that as well. So okay, that's pretty much the roundup there. So spending diary. Okay, so what have I spent? So outside of food shopping, other expenses, Card Factory, £19.94 on the 3rd of September. And that was just because I'm an absolute sucker. I'd gone into Card Factory to buy good luck cards. 2 of my grandchildren were starting proper school. They're 4, coming up 5. And I wanted to get them a card. And then when I was at the till, you know, they have all these little toy bits and bobs and what have you. And I thought, oh, I'm going to get them a little something each as well. So £19.94 in the Card Factory on September the 3rd. And then later on in that week, on the Friday the 5th, I spent £4.97 again in Card Factory, but that was for the birthday cards for September. I had an anniversary card in there as well. I spent £5.65 in Starbucks from my socialising sinking fund. I spent £4.80 on a taxi. That came out of my transport sinking fund because my shopping was heavier than I thought it was going to be, and I literally couldn't walk home with it. It was that heavy. £1.50 on Amazon, that was for coffee pods, and the £45 that I spent at Marks and Spencer's. The following week, I bought a dress off of Vinted. That was £8.14 all in. And the reason that I bought that particular dress is because I already have it, brand new with tags. I love it, but I can't fit into it. And because it's a dress with long sleeves, I just thought if I've got any evenings out throughout the winter period, I love that dress. I really would like to wear it. I checked Vinted and I bought it in a size up, and then I'll put my smaller size one up for sale. Well, mine hasn't sold. I think Vinted has been really quite slow, to be honest with you, but there you go. So £8.14 on a dress. Then the following week, on the Wednesday the 17th, £25 on a birthday present for my daughter. Then later that week, on Saturday the 20th, I ordered coffee pods from Amazon. Week beginning the 22nd, I spent nothing other than food shopping. And then up till the end of the month, so from the 29th, Monday 29th, Tuesday the 30th, I didn't spend anything. So yeah, wasn't not a lot in my spending diary at all, to be honest, but that's okay. But then on to this budget book, because this is the budget book that I bought, copying Alex over at Live Your Best Budget Life. Alex was starting the 75 hard challenge. I thought I would give it a go also. She'd bought this budget book. Of course, I wanted it because I'm an absolute stationery freak. Give me a new notebook and I could sit stroking it for hours. And when you first take the pen to it, oh my God, I'm just ridiculous. I've always been the same with notebooks. Not so bad with pens and things, but yeah, notebooks, absolutely terrible. So we started using this. And I have enjoyed using it, but it just looks scary because I started doing everything that Alex was doing, and basically, you know, you write everything down, so all your bills, like everything that's in your bank, and then before you know it, you filled up a few pages and it all looks like really scary, but it's literally every penny that comes out of your bank. So part of the 75 hard challenge was to ensure that, you know, I'm checking my banking app on a daily basis. So yeah, everything's been written down, from the rent to the Sky bills to the council tax, and yeah, so it looks a lot. It's quite overwhelming, but it's literally every penny spent, whether that's on a bill or, yeah, something that's not a bill, basically. So that's all logged in there. That's all tracked there. So with the 75 hard, there are certain rules that are hard and fast, and there are some that you can make yourself. And I set some for myself as well. But the sort of hard and fast ones: check your banking app daily. Wealth education. So my wealth education, I started the month off with an audio book that I found, 6 hours worth of audio book, which I completed. And thereon in, I have mainly been listening to videos about trading 212. Now, if you've been around for a while, you may remember that I mentioned a long time ago, it was probably a couple of years ago, I signed up to Trading 212 app because somebody on Instagram was sharing a link, and if you signed up through the link, you got a free share worth a minimum of £10. I think it could at that point be between 10 and 100. But the Instagrammer who'd put it up said most people are getting a £10 share. So I got a £10 share, which was in Deutsche Bank. I've not done anything with it, even though I know that signing up, depositing £1 got me that free share. A couple of months ago, that share was worth £37. Today, it's worth 33. Of course, stocks and shares can go up and down, but that's what I got for my £1. And I can withdraw that at any time I want to, but it's kind of like a little bit of an emergency thing there. If I was absolutely desperate for money and destitute, I know I can draw the money out on that share. But I wanted to get into 212 a little bit more. Because Alex had talked about it again over at Live Your Best Budget Life. My friend Sharon and I had talked about it over at the Retirement Edit UK, because I think she'd had a Trading 212 account some years ago and was thinking about signing up again. So we've had lots of chatter about it and lots of wealth education around Trading 212. So that's mainly what my wealth education has consisted of. And the other thing with the 75 hard is, what's the other thing? It's wealth education and wealth action. So my wealth action, I've been kind of like set these things up myself. So I thought I'll list something on Vinted every day. That's a big fat fail. And then putting £1 into a jar every single day. So I used up all the change that was in the house. First of all, once that had all gone, I thought I'll put £1 into a digital pot each day. And I haven't done that either. I have got money in the pot. However, what I've done is just thought the wealth action can either be the £1 in the pot or the listing something on Vinted. So if I don't list something on Vinted one day, then I'm going to penalise myself and put £1 in the pot or in a digital pot somewhere, because it will be my bad if I put nothing on Vinted. So that was kind of like a rule that I set myself when it came to the wealth action part. So yeah, been tracking all of the spending, doing all of the wealth action. And talking of which, so once we had our YouTube income of 113.10, there was the £18.51 charitable donation. Then obviously 20% for tax, as I said. And I was left with 73.52. So what I've been doing with what is left, I've been saving it, because it's the first time in almost 3 years that I've had any savings. What savings I had when I moved in here bought my sofa, coffee table, bed and mattress. And we've had no savings ever since. So yeah, the YouTube income has allowed me to start saving some money, which I'm obviously so not only grateful, but really, really happy about. So I had 73.52 left to save. So what I did with all of this wealth education around Trading 212, I took half of it, so 36.76, and put it in a stocks and shares ISA. And I learned how to put a pie together so that you can like have £36.76, whatever it was, and have that split between lots of different companies that make up a pie. So you have to have percentages, obviously, that are going to make up to 100 to fill your pie. And that is basically what I did. And I'm super chuffed about it. And the other 36.76 went into my digital saver, which is attached to my NatWest current account. So that's where I've been putting my my YouTube savings in there. So yeah, so I've been up and running with Trading 212. I've still got my original Deutsche Bank share that I got when I signed up, and I'll pop the link below to Trading 212. It is part of JP Morgan, so it is like a trusted app, that's for sure. It's part of an international, well, JP Morgan are a massive American bank, and I used to work in the city years ago, so anybody that's ever worked in financial institutions will know of JP Morgan. My son actually had an interview there, got offered a job and didn't take it. Actually, they're not in the city anymore, they're in Canary Wharf. Yeah, he had 2 other offers, so he wasn't feeling that one as much, but he did get a job offer there. So, yeah, the link to Trading 212 will also be in the description box below. So for depositing £1, you can get a free share, which is a minimum. It's going to have a minimum value of £10, the share that you're given, but it could be more. But yeah, I would say it's more than likely going to be £10. But yeah, the link for that, have a little play, listen to some YouTube videos. Do bear in mind, I'm no financial advisor. Anything to do with stocks and shares can go up or down, but they do also have a facility to just have a cash ISA in there as well. So yeah, quite a few bits that you can have a look at on the Trading 212 app. Alex has got a couple of videos out about it as well, so do go check those out over at Live Your Best Budget Life. Yeah, and I think that's all for the monthly roundup for September. So I'm still going to try and do the 75 hard. If I miss a day, I'm not beating myself up, but it does kind of like help to keep you a bit accountable. It's just that I don't know where the hours in the day go. For example, I'm day off today because I'm working on Sunday when this video will go live. And I've literally done nothing other than sit and work out all of my finances, get all of my books up to date, recheck my banking apps to make sure I've not missed anything out. And everything takes so long to do. And it's like mid-afternoon already, and I've done nothing other than have a shower, wash my face, put some makeup on and do my hair, and have some lunch, and that is it. So yeah, I will let you go. Now you're going to see the sinking funds if you're interested in seeing how I've carved up that £187. I look forward to seeing you in the comments section. Any likes, comments, and of course subscriptions are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you on Wednesday with well, we're making jam because that's already been done, and I haven't yet been to the supermarket, and although I'm day off today, I'm not going because I can't be bothered, quite frankly. And yeah, I'll probably go Monday or Tuesday after work, and that will be included in Wednesday's video. So I will see you then, my loves. Take good care, enjoy what's left of your weekend. Again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Bye. Okay, guys, so let's carve up my disposable income into sinking funds. So this is the money that I have left each month to live on. And I split that up, if you're new here, into individual sinking funds. And you will see what they are as I go through them. So we've got £187 to play with. So let's get into it. So I've mentioned before about hair appointments tend to be every 8 weeks. And that kind of means that every single month I have to put £30 into a sinking fund, because my hair appointment for my cut, my colour and the blow dry is £60, which is really reasonable. And one of the reasons why I go back to where I used to live and have stuck with my same hairdresser, because when I moved here, I sort of looked into local hairdressers. Prices were extortionate, a lot more than I'm currently paying. And also I've got a lot of allergies, so I can't have toner on the blonde. That burns my head. And when I have sort of brown put through, with the blonde highlights to just kind of break it up a bit so it's not too blonde. I've got an allergy to brown hair dye, so my hairdresser orders me something special in for that. So lots of reasons why I've stuck with her. So £30 each month tends to cover that hair appointment. So next I have got self-care. Now, self-care for me would be things like shower gel, bath sponge, body moisturiser, makeup and skincare. So I tend not to buy any of those things if I can help it in the supermarket. Sometimes I pick up the odd thing because it might be on offer there, but on the whole, the kind of personal care items that I use to wash and moisturise my body, toothpaste, makeup, skincare, all comes from a self-care sinking fund. And this month I am putting £10 into that particular sinking fund. Now for socialising, I have got an afternoon tea on the 2nd of October, and I know full well what that's going to cost me. I am putting £25 into that particular sinking fund. Then I started an emergency fund. This was a more recent one. I'm only going to put £10 into that. Now, this for me, this emergency fund, of course, it would be great to have like £1,000 in an emergency fund and maybe one day. But right now, for me, that emergency fund, I feel, will be for things like if my microwave broke, if my Hoover broke. So not really small things that I might need in the house, like a glass Pyrex jug, but things that are slightly bigger and slightly more expensive. So that really is what that's for. So £10 into that fund. And then I've also got a home sinking fund. And again, I'm going to put £10 in that one. Now, the home one, that is for things like a Pyrex glass jug, which I desperately want. I also need a new rug in this room, and a few other bits. I have got a list of small things that I need in the kitchen. And yeah, that's what my home sinking fund is for. So this month I'm going to put £10 in there. My next sinking fund, so a lot of these were new over the last few months. So my glasses sinking fund, I'm going to put £10 into that one as well. I have made an appointment for the optician. However, I've got to cancel it and rearrange it for later in October because something has cropped up on the day that I'm due to have my optician's appointment. So I need to rearrange that. That is on my to-do list. My next sinking fund is transport. Now this will cover train fare to get to said hairdressers above, and then occasional times where I may need to get the bus or a train, which really isn't very often. But I do like to have a little bit of money in there ready for any eventuality. And there was one day in September where my food shopping was so heavy, I actually had to get a taxi back from the supermarket. It didn't please me, but it had to be done. So my transport sinking fund will cover eventualities like that. My next sinking fund is for the dentist. And I started this fund because I had to go to the dentist twice this year on 2 separate occasions. The first time was for 4 fillings, which I think was $73.20 for band 2 NHS. And then I got toothache after that work had been done in a completely different tooth and had to have root canal treatment. And again, it was $73.20. So I don't want to get caught out next year. So we're putting £10 into that sinking fund as well there. Right, so after dentist, we have got birthdays, And I've got a few in October. I've mentioned it many times before. So we've tried to get some money kind of like ahead of the game. And it does mean that more needs to go in that sinking fund this month than usually would. However, next year, thanks to Mandy at Mandy Sorts It Out, when I was showing sinking funds in a video a couple of months back, she was inquiring as to why I didn't have any annual expenses that I was kind of like saving up for. But I don't have a car, so I don't have car tax to pay or car insurance. I don't have any annual expenses. All my expenses are monthly. But what I'm going to do from January is a bit like with my Christmas budgeting video. I'm going to put down all the birthdays that I have got for 2026, an approximate cost for cards as well, anniversaries that I buy cards for, friends that I buy birthday cards for. I'm going to total that all up approximately and then divide that amount by 12, and that will be my sinking fund amount each month, every single month of 2026. So that way, when I've got a month where I haven't got any birthdays, and there are only 2 months in the entire year that I'm in that position, I will still be putting the same amount of money in, whereas I've not done that previously. And then that means on a month when I've got more than one birthday, I'm having to put more money in to make up for it. So birthdays this month, 37 is going into that sinking fund. And then my next sinking fund is holiday. And this month I am putting into the holiday fund £20. Now, the holiday fund will always be the one that I dip into. So I don't feel too guilty that I'm putting more in the holiday fund than I am in the emergency or the transport or whatever, or the dentist. Because that will be the one that if I run out of money, I overspend on the food shopping, that will be the one that I dip into. So I know it's almost like a holiday and a buffer for me. So £20 in there. And then my final sinking fund is a new one, because I've decided everybody should have one no matter what age, but I'm going to have to save to have one. Well, we need two actually. Everybody needs two. And that is a power of attorney. So I've now got a POA sinking fund, and I'm going to put £15 into that this month. So that has carved up my £187. That means that all monthly expenses are covered, no matter what they are. So my hair appointment is covered. I know I need shower gel and a couple of other bits, so that's my self-care fund, that's covered. The afternoon tea is covered, and then emergency home, glasses, transport, dentist, you know, they roll over. It's kind of like saving up for those things. Birthdays, holiday again, of course, is saving up for that. And the power of attorney, we're saving up for that as well. So I will just... And I have also added a London sinking fund to my pots in my Monzo account. Now, I've mentioned before, my friend Sharon over at Retirement Edit UK, Sharon and I usually have 2 days out in London each year, one in the summer and one in December. When was it? Last year? Or the year before? I know one year we went to the Chanel exhibition in springtime. I think that year we met up 3 times in London, but yeah, 2 this year. That's more in keeping kind of with our budgets now. But what's basically happened, the reason that I've done a London sinking fund for our December day out and our lunch, which we already have booked, I wanted to be able to save for that. And I was going to split the cost of that day out from September, October and November's pay. However, Sharon has bought a concert ticket off of me. So I bought 2 tickets to see Jamiroquai last year. We used to get a bonus from work. We've not had it this year, and we're not going to be getting it this year either. We've already been informed. So that is unfortunate. But it was just after my kids had been buying the Oasis tickets and everybody was hyped up about concerts, and I've always loved Jamiroquai, and I thought, you know what, it is all about having good times, making memories. And I've really not been to a lot of gigs in my life at all. For somebody who loves music as much as I do, I've hardly seen anybody because tickets are so expensive. So when I got this bonus and I knew Jamiroquai tickets were going to be coming on sale, I knew they were planning to be at the O2. Yeah, basically I bought 2 tickets, and I just thought, obviously I'll find somebody to come with me. And I had honestly forgotten all about it. And the reason I've forgotten, I think, is because one of my daughters actually went online and got the tickets, because when you're in the virtual queues, if any of you have done that before on Ticketmaster, yeah, it's an absolute nightmare, and some people seem to get through quicker than others, and I was stuck in the virtual queue. One of my daughters got in before me, and she got the tickets, and therefore that means that she has still got them on her account. So they need to be sent over to me at some stage very soon. And and I was just sharing a Jamiroquai video on Instagram, and then suddenly I thought, oh my God, do you know what? I've not even thought about it this whole year, that I have got those tickets to see Jamiroquai. Who's going to come with me? And I thought, well, Sharon loves music as much as I do. We've got very similar taste in music. And I just messaged her and said, do you fancy coming? Absolutely no obligation if you don't want to buy that ticket off me, because I just thought if I can't sell one to one of my friends, then I'll try and offload both of them. And Sharon was well up for it. So she paid me for the ticket. And what I've done, I thought, well, that's money that I wasn't expecting to have. So I've popped it straight into a London sinking fund. That completely covers my lunch and day out in London in December. So we're meeting each other twice in December. Once for our lovely lunch and day out and looking at the Christmas lights, which we love to do every year down Bond Street. And we're also going to the O2 to see Jamiroquai. So, yeah, can't wait for that. And the sale of that concert ticket has covered my London day out. So, yeah, really pleased with that. And that was a bit of a brainwave that I had with that money. I thought, well, if I open up a new sinking fund, pop that money in there, and then next year again, that's something I'm going to budget for over the year. I'm going to think about what I usually spend on our days out in London, and I'm going to divide that by 12, and I'm going to put money into a London sinking fund every single month, so that when we do go out, it's already covered. That's what the sinking funds really are for, isn't it? Having these things covered, whether that's a pair of glasses, whether it's, socialising, meeting up with friends, rather than saying, no, I can't afford it. You're already prepared. And I honestly think I don't have much of a life now compared to what my life was like before I moved here, when it comes to disposable income, when it comes to socialising. So I don't beat myself up about having 2 fairly spenny days out in London a year. So other than that, it's just the odd coffee, the odd lunch. Very rarely throughout the year now do I do a lot. Okay, so there you can see it all in the flesh, just in case you wanted to take a closer look at how I split up my disposable income for the month. And lots of people might have one sinking fund with more than one thing in it or item in it. For me, I can't do that. Everything's got to be really, really clear. So, for example, I wouldn't have dentist and glasses in the same fund. It's just how I do it. And we are all different. But I really try and have things as simplified as possible when it comes to my budget. I like to see everything clearly. I like to know exactly where I am.